is Salt Lake City an NHL town? Well, if you ask Ryan Smith, the current owner of the Utah Jazz, Salt Lake City in the state of Utah is clamoring for the National Hockey League. At least that's what he told Pat McAfee months ago. And now we know that the Utah legislature has approved a 0.5 percentage point raise to the sales tax in Salt Lake City so that consumers can give Ryan Smith, who's allegedly a billionaire, $1 billion. That's what this is the equivalence to. On top of that, Ryan Smith now has what is believed to be an agreement in principle, a verbal agreement to move the Arizona Coyotes to Salt Lake City this coming October and have them temporarily play at the Delta Center, where the Utah Jazz currently play less than mediocre basketball. And Ryan Smith, a supposed billionaire, will be paying 1.3 at a minimum. I've seen 1.3, 1.5, 1.9, at least $1.3 billion to buy and relocate the Arizona Coyotes to Salt Lake City. And then taxpayers will give Ryan Smith, a supposed billionaire, $1 billion to build a new arena for the Jazz and the Coyotes. And my question is, why are we giving billionaires billions of dollars? Why are we giving billionaires billions of taxpayer dollars when we have issues with things like teacher salaries, education, access to affordable housing? Why are we raising taxes on people who can't currently afford to buy a house to give that extra tax money to a guy who's supposedly a billionaire, who rails about how much money is in tech and that Silicon Slopes here in Utah is exploding and there's so much money in new business starts? Then why do you need a tax shelter? Then why do you, Ryan Smith, need $1 billion of taxpayer money to build an arena? You're already a billionaire. Go and get private money to do it. I mean, look at what you did with the Jazz. You've won all those. Oh, wait, you haven't won. But you've bought all this. Oh, wait, you haven't bought talent on any level. Ryan Smith, in his time as the owner of the Utah Jazz, has done nothing but put money back in his pocket. He traded his biggest contracts from Bojan Bogdanovic, Rudy Gobert, and Donovan Mitchell straight down the line. He traded his largest contracts. He is on team-friendly deals with his best players, and they're not winning. And I made the argument yesterday on Twitter that I'm going to make right now. Ryan Smith has been nothing short of a disappointment as the owner of the Utah Jazz. Why should we believe that Ryan Smith relocating and owning an NHL team in Salt Lake City and getting $1 billion of taxpayer money to do it, when we don't pay cops, firefighters, or teachers, when we have a homelessness epidemic, when we have a housing epidemic, when we have a drug use epidemic and an overdose epidemic in this state, when we have social issue epidemics in this state? Why are we giving $1 billion to a guy that's supposedly a billionaire, Jake? I don't understand it.
Yeah, and I think that, the part that bothers me the most is we want to gift wrap it in this idea that it's going to help the community, that, building an entertainment district as part of this arena renovation is going to help the community. And it's going to, the catchphrase is revitalize downtown Salt Lake. And while it may improve the aesthetics of downtown Salt Lake, and while downtown needs that attention, I really struggle with this, and I struggle with it as someone who right now is unwilling to buy a house with where we're at in the market in Salt Lake. I'm unwilling to to do a lot of things because of how much it costs, man. And I tend to agree that I don't have a lot of faith in Ryan because of what has not happened with the Utah Jazz. Again, I always like to bring up the point that when Ryan Smith bought the Utah Jazz, the message was, we're carrying the torch from the Millers. We're going to do right by the Millers. We're going to make sure that, we put a good product on the floor. So when Gail's sitting courtside every night, she's got something entertaining to watch. And that's just not been the case. And more, when I look at what the current state of the Jazz is and what Ryan hasn't done, Dude, the Jazz went from being a perennial playoff contender every single season for a minute, for probably 5, 6 years in a row, to being a nobody, to not going to make the playoffs. You did a bad
Jake,
rebrand.
they're developing their young players.
And look, that if you want to keep lying to us, that's fine, because you don't develop anybody. I don't see any development happening.
But is there a legitimate argument to be made that Ryan Smith has been a successful owner of the Utah Jazz or a successful minority owner at RSL?
I think that it depends who you ask and how you define success. How do we define success in sports? And I'm genuinely asking, because it seems that we've gotten confused on this. Success in sports is winning. You don't put the pads on, you don't put the jersey on, you don't, whatever, analogy you want to use. You don't go out to the golf course to shoot 100. You go out to the golf course to shoot the best you can shoot, to win as many games as you can, right? And they're not doing that. And it used to be a year ago, I was like, well, maybe Danny's got a plan here, right? Like Danny, and Justin Zanuck, they've got a plan. It's developmental, and then they're going to make a move here or there. There's a plan. But anymore, I don't really feel like there's a plan. What I feel like is Ryan Smith is saving as much money as possible, because he's not a liquid billionaire. His valuation comes from assets and stock options that he can't quickly liquidate. And the Jazz, as a basketball product, are simply the best example we have visually of his struggles as an owner. Because ultimately, a good owner is going to invest in the team. And I feel like Ryan's done exactly the opposite. Notice all of my complaints have nothing to do with Ryan Smith as a person. Never said Ryan's a bad guy. Never said that he's a asshole. I've never said that he's some terrible dude. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that as soon as you start reaching into my pocket, Ryan Smith, now I've got a problem with you. Now I have an issue, because you're asking me to cover costs that you should be covering.
Well, and I go back to the Miller family, who is asking for $1 billion in tax dollars to build a ballpark, to bring a Major League Baseball team to Salt Lake City. And
that's even worse in my opinion.
And who's clamoring for that?
Yeah.
And I would agree. You know why it's worse? Because it's a statewide hotel tax. So we're just going to kill a pipeline in this state. I don't understand why we do what we do. And the biggest issue is, and we've asked the politicians, I've asked the politicians who approve this to come on the show and talk about it. Obviously, they don't want to talk about the free tax money they gave Ryan Smith. But why are we giving tax money to billionaires? And I know I just said this, but I'm going to say it 1,000 fucking times. We have crisis in this state, in this country. We are raising 0.5 point the sales tax to give a supposed billionaire in Ryan Smith a new arena downtown. Where's the church? The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the Mormon Church. Who has a bigger footprint in real estate in this town than the LDS Church? Who? Nobody. Temple Square downtown, completely renovated. Like, they're doing a massive project down there. Why doesn't the church kick down? If this is so important for downtown Salt Lake City, and this is going to help revitalize downtown, does the church have no influence over that, or no? Oh, that's right. They don't. We don't talk about those things in this town. Okay, let me ask you this. If we took $1 billion, could we pay teachers? If we took $1 billion, could we make college more accessible and more affordable? If we took $1 billion, could we invest that in affordable housing instead of $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 mansions that we want to build in this town?
Mm-hmm.
If we took $1 billion, could we pay nurses? If we learned anything through the pandemic, nurses, police officers, firefighters, first responders across the board, could we pay them more money with $1 billion in sales tax? Could we actually, and I know, let's get really fucking crazy.
Monty.
Could we fill some potholes in this town?
Dude.
Because all we do in this town is build stuff, right? If we took $1 billion, could we make the lives of Utah residents better instead of handing $1 billion to a supposed billionaire? Could we do that? We could, but we don't. Because rich guys help rich guys get richer. That's what this is. That's why I don't like this. I don't like it because we have far more pressing needs. People are dying and we're doing nothing about it, but we're going to give a supposed billionaire $1 billion in taxpayer money coming out of my pocket.
Yeah.
In the form of a 0.5% sales tax increase. Do you think that's ever going to decrease? They don't generally work that way. Like we're doing is helping rich guys get richer. And I just don't know why we're doing it. There is not some clamoring to bring the NHL to Salt Lake City.
And by the way, I think it's funny. So Ryan Smith the other day tweeted out the jobs report and that Utah is growing and that there's plenty of jobs and everything's amazing. Right. That's not what we're talking about, though.
No, it's
We're
not.
not talking about the job market. Yeah, the job market in Utah is strong. Right. What we're talking about is there a need or a desire for the NHL to come to Salt Lake City? And I do agree with people who say, hey, yeah, Salt Lake's growing, eventually at some point, more major professional sporting leagues will come to the state. I don't even disagree with that. That's part of progress. It's going to happen. I don't have that much of an issue with the NHL as a product coming to this town and sharing a multi-purpose facility with the Jazz. I don't have necessarily a big problem with that.
No.
My problem is how you're doing it. Why we're doing it. Okay, the why is the state's growing. We got to bring in more sports teams. Okay, cool. If that's your why, fine. Knock yourself out. But don't ask me to pay for it. I didn't ask to pay for this. Do I like hockey? Yeah, sure. I like hockey so much that, when we go to Vegas, a couple times a year, we'll catch a Golden Knights game, or when we go to Phoenix, we'll catch a Coyotes game, which I think is the other hilarious part of this situation. Ryan Smith thinks that he's going to buy the Phoenix Coyotes, bring them to Salt Lake City as part of this package, and you think you're just going to turn that organization over and all of a sudden they're going to start winning games. This isn't an expansion team. You understand that, right? This isn't, hey, we're the Golden Knights. We're an expansion team. We get to pluck the best talent out of the league so that we can have a chance. That's not what this is. You're buying the team, you're moving the team, and you have what you have. Last time I checked, Ryan Smith doesn't know anybody in the NHL. Last time I checked, Ryan Smith was a Utah kid who grew up as a Jazz fan and as a BYU guy. And that's how he was able to get in and position himself for the Jazz. Right. So now all he's done here is said, oh, I see an opportunity. Hey, I've been saving money, not investing in the Jazz, not giving a damn about doing anything positive with the Jazz except jersey rebrands and marketing pieces. And now I see an opportunity in Phoenix where they need somebody who's willing to take a risk. Because make no mistake about it, this is the other thing no one's talking about. This is a risk. You understand that, right? What happens if you bring the NHL to Salt Lake City and it absolutely flames out? We're just going to say, oh, well.
My guess is what's going to happen is the NHL they're coming. I mean, it's going to happen. And I think that what you're going to see for 2-3 years, much like he did with the Jazz, Ryan Smith will invest some money. They will likely win. And then what? Because this has been his pattern so far as the owner of the Jazz. He's done nothing to invest in winning in the NBA. Nothing. And I think his entire angle here has been from day one to get a new arena. I think his entire angle here is to make more money, pocket more money for himself. My guess is he'll take the Ricketts family who owns the Cubs and is investing in the PGA Tour and all this other stuff. But why did Chelsea Football Club fans reject the Ricketts as the new owners? Because they don't want what the Ricketts and what Ryan Smith do. Those guys will dump a bunch of money into a team. They'll win, and then they will pull the plug, and they will profit take, and they will pay off their debt, and those teams will suffer. We've watched it with the Cubs. We've watched it with the Ricketts. We're watching it with Ryan Smith. And Ryan Smith talks a good game. Hey, look at me. Cool white guy. I wear my hat backwards. I'm a tech billionaire, supposedly.
I golf.
I need $1 billion in taxpayer money. And I'm again going to say, I love hockey. I'm a passionate Chicago Blackhawk fan. I support the Utah Grizzlies. This is not a hockey town. It's not a hockey town. Is there any question as to why just mysteriously not having a great season on the ice. The Grizzlies are not having a great season on the ice. But yet they're touting massive ticket sales. How do you think that's happening? Do you think that's just their ticket guys out there kicking ass? That's not what this is. This is all part of a plan. This is all part of a, hey, look, people love hockey in Salt Lake City.
Because it's all part of the plan.
And I hope I am 100% wrong, because there is nothing more than I would love Connor Bedard to come and play in Salt Lake City twice a year. When I was in Arizona, we had season tickets to the Coyotes. I love the game. This is not a hockey town. This will be, I'm telling you, this will be the Atlanta Thrashers. This is not going to work. It's not going to work here. It'll work in the short term because it always works in the short term.
Yeah, you always get that pop, right? Hey, there's a new thing in town. Let's go see it. Let's go check it out.
But it's $1 billion over what, 30 years. 30 years. And you're going to make the argument that this guy who hasn't won dick since he bought the Jazz, who has not invested in the product on the floor at all, you're going to make the argument that this guy belongs owning a new team. And we're going to give him $1 billion to do it.
And as part of that process, I'm sure he's going to get a handout from the Olympic Committee when the Olympics come back to Salt Lake as well, which is another reason he wants a new building.
How? And listen, again, this is not, I'm just truth telling. That's what we do on the show, much to the chagrin of Florida State fan. The truth is very difficult to get away from.
Yeah.
This is not a hockey town. The youth hockey programs here are not booming. The rinks are not plentiful.
I just think even for the average person, I don't hear people talking about hockey, man. I hear them talking about football and the Masters and and again, in our members only chat, and I'm sure people are in the comments section vouching for this. Dude, it's not just us saying the Jazz suck and that they're unenjoyable to watch. Like, you understand that, right? Like, the garden variety fan, the fan who's watched this team for 5 minutes, and also the fan that watched them for 30 years is like, dude, like, what are we doing? Like, what? Like, I'm just not like, again, I always reference it. Greg Hawkins 2 weeks ago straight up said in our members only group, dude, I've lost faith in Ryan Smith. This team is doing nothing. This team is scrimmaging on a nightly basis.
And the thing I don't understand is, how are we the only ones? Oh, I know how we're the only ones saying that. This is a guy that controls the media here.
Mm-hmm.
So the media will tell you, oh man, this team is on the right path. It's not on the right path.
Dude, I think your angle about the church is spot on. So let me get this right. The church owns KSL, right?
But wait. I want you to understand about the church is the largest landowner in this state. You need to understand that. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints owns more land in this state than anybody, and the land they own. And they just announced new LDS temples. And people are celebrating. So understand that the church, who owns BYU and owns the most land of anybody else in Utah, that's who we're about to talk about. Understand the power that they carry in this town. As you were.
Yeah. They own KSL. And I think what's really funny is that every Sunday, Ryan Smith sends out a tweet about something religion related, about God, or a passage, right? Like from the book. And what I think is so funny is that in Salt Lake specifically, there's a ton of hypocrisy with religion, where Ryan Smith is LDS on Sundays, but he doesn't live up to LDS values when it comes to making money, right? Like, if you think about the point my guy over here made about how, where's the LDS church when it comes to revitalizing Salt Lake City? They're happy to revitalize their little patch of land in Salt Lake, right in downtown
Temple Square.
Square.
If you go on Google Earth, look at Temple Square, Salt Lake City.
So they're happy to revitalize and renovate what they have, but they're not interested in helping the homeless. They're not interested in
Helping the
in
addicted.
yeah, like they're not interested in solving those issues.
And why are they not investing? Never mind. What is the LDS Church's role in this? Ryan Smith is LDS,
Yep.
right? He's a Latter-day Saint. Ryan Smith owns the Utah Jazz. He is a minority owner in Real Salt Lake. He owns the Zone Sports Network, which is managed by Bonneville Media, which is owned by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, who also owns KSL TV and radio, the largest television station, the largest radio station. They own the Deseret News, which is the second largest newspaper in this town. And they all support Ryan Smith. Where's the critical piece on this? Where's the sports talk host, the news talk host, talking about that we're giving half a percentage point in sales tax to pay for Ryan Smith's new arena downtown? Did it go to a vote? Was it a ballot initiative? No, because it wouldn't have passed. And again, I point to Kansas City. The Chiefs are the foremost dynasty in the National Football League right now. Their fans resoundingly voted down a tax increase to pay for a renovation of Arrowhead Stadium because we have other issues. Our kids can't get educated. We don't pay nurses, teachers, firemen, policemen. We don't pay for that stuff, but we're giving I can keep saying it, man.
Yep.
It's wild to me. It's wild to me that we're doing this and there's no accountability for it. It is shameful. It is abhorrent. It is what's wrong with politics in our country. So when I tell you, don't worry about Donald Trump, worry about your mayor, worry about your council people, worry about your county commissioners, worry about your local legislators, your state senators. Don't worry about the man in the orange suit. Get local, because you're creating tax breaks, not unlike the tax renovation we saw recently where billionaires got billions. We're giving tax hikes to billionaires. Vote in your local elections. That's what I would say. Enough of us, more of you. Let's get your thoughts in here. Let's see. Mike Smith, like I said, I do not follow hockey. What that said, if a smaller market like Columbus in a state with multiple pro teams can do okay, what about Utah? Here's the difference. I think in Utah, this has always been, obviously, a college sports town. I think we, in general, passionately support college sports. I think for the first 3 to 5 years, we will support a hockey team. I can tell you now, I will be there when the Blackhawks play. The issue is not will fans buy tickets. What's going to happen when Ryan Smith's, which is he stops spending money on payroll? Because to get fans in the gate, you're going to have to win the first 2-3 years. And then what? And here's the other thing. How are Jazz fans going to feel when the NHL team competes at a higher level than the Jazz do? Because Ryan Smith came in here, like you said, oh, the Millers, and they're great, and we want to bring a championship here.
Want to continue the heritage.
So we're going to trade Rudy Gobert, and we're going to trade Donovan Mitchell and Bojan Bogdanovic and Buckets O'Bench, and we're going to decimate this roster. All in the name of rebuilding. And we're not going to spend money on talent. And we are not going to spend money on... He renovated Delta Center. Why did he do that? Because he got a stipend from the NBA to have the All-Star game here. What have they done to build a winner with the Jazz? The uniform debacle, where you didn't plan it well enough, so the beloved Purple Mountain uniform was a year delayed? Come on. What makes you think that he's going to win with the Jazz? He has no choice, in my opinion, but to spend money and win with the NHL franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they come out and they win 20 games, you're fucked. People here will not go to those games.
Nope.
People here will not. You can put them on any TV station you want. If you bring a team to Salt Lake City, they will not support them if they do not win.
And no, we're not paying for Coyotes Plus.
They will not win. I'm telling you now. K. Nuren says, I couldn't name one NHL team. It's not you guys, it's not a matter of, do you know the NHL? Will you get to know the NHL? Will you get to know the NHL? You will, whether you want to or not. It's going to be on TV. It's going to be all over the media because Ryan Smith controls the media in this town.
Yep.
It's going to be everywhere. There's going to be billboards. There's going to be ads. It's going to be on the radio. It's going to be on YouTube TV. It's going to be on regular TV. You're not going to be able to get away from it.
Well, and you know what's going to happen. They won't be the Coyotes anymore.
No, they're going to rebrand it.
They'll rebrand
Ryan
it.
Smith he's already doing a campaign taking suggestions for the new NHL team's name. He is going to pay. Do you guys understand? And here's why we are going to pay for his building. He's probably going to pay, let's call it $1.5 billion to buy the Coyotes and pay a relocation fee to get them to Salt Lake City. He's going to pay that money out of pocket. Him and his Smith Entertainment Group. So that's why we're paying it, because he doesn't have the money to do it on his own.
No.
And don't always Monty. He's revitalizing downtown. Great.
Shouldn't we have done that anyway?
Shouldn't the church be doing that?
Yeah, shouldn't revitalizing downtown Salt Lake City be an initiative that was done regardless of an NHL team? That's what I'm saying. Ryan Smith is no hero here. Ryan Smith is not doing anybody a favor. And that's what I think is hilarious in this town. Oh, well, Ryan Smith is going out of his way, and Ryan Smith is leading the way, and he's the best. And all I'm saying is, dude, I've lived here long enough to know that downtown Salt Lake City is nothing to get excited about right now. I'm not oh man, dude, bro, I got to go downtown, man, to see what, to do what. The Jazz are the ticket. That's it.
That's it.
And
that's all.
And I'm not even saying that from a place of that I like that. I wish downtown was popping. I wish that downtown was much bigger and it felt more robust, and there was more to do. But basically, downtown Salt Lake is a bunch of bars that you can go to if you like. You can see a concert here or there. You can see an opera show or something, but there's not a lot happening down there. And then there's this little thing called the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints sitting down in the middle of the city. And I'm just sitting here dude, this is not Ryan Smith doing anybody a favor. This is Ryan Smith doing himself a favor. This is Ryan Smith, in my opinion, being selfish and not wanting to find a way to do it with private money.
Yeah.
And that's what bothers me so much.
Tanner Plummer, the Mormon church is saving their money for the second coming of Jesus, apparently. It's not, I don't want this to turn into a referendum on the church. But as I said, nobody owns more land. No private entity owns more land. I think the church is now the 5th largest private landowner and the largest owner of ranch and cattle land in this country. And I think they're the 5th. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I believe, is the 5th largest landowner in the entire country. And they own it all. Shopping centers, office towers. They own it all.
Mm-hmm.
They're not just square footage downtown or the land that their temples sit on. They own it all. And they are the largest landowner in the state of Utah. Yeah. Private landowner in the state of Utah. Because I want to say, I was looking at it last night, that you have a lot of public land. You have a lot of Bureau of Land Management land. But as far as public versus private, the LDS Church is the largest private landowner in the state of Utah, and the 5th largest in the entire country.
Yeah.
In the entire country.
Let's tax the people of Utah. Let's just tax them to no end.
And again, my biggest issue in this is where the rubber meets the road. You are supposedly carrying the name of your creator. You're carrying it. Let's pretend it's a football. You're carrying it down the streets of Salt Lake City, walking right past the drug addicted, right past the homeless. We went to this. I told you this story. We went to the symphony 2 weeks ago. We quite literally walked by a guy, an IV drug user, laying on the street. And 1 block down, what did we see? Another guy standing on a fence post, not really hiding, I guess, taking a leak on a fence post. All the money in the world, giving it to a billionaire to build his new arena, not doing anything. Oh, but we're going to revitalize downtown. Okay.
Been
But
saying it for
so
decades.
just out of curiosity, where are you going to bust those drug dealers and drug users to? Where are we going to, when all this gentrification's done, where are we going to push the homeless people to? They're just going to throw them up there in Ogden? Well, you know. Because if we're building shiny new shit in downtown Salt Lake City, are you telling me you're just going to, you think that these rich dudes are just going to, they moved homeless people out of downtown Salt Lake City for the NBA All-Star game. You think they're not going to do that when they open up their shiny new building? Yeah, they are going to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to do that. They're just going to put it off on somebody else, dude. Like, come on. Does Salt Lake City have a Kensington Street? I have no idea. I don't know. You know. Let's see. Arlington, Chris Karn in the chat this morning. Hello. The federal government is the largest landowner in the state. I get your point, but the Fed owns 60% of Utah. Different category. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is a private entity that gets enormous tax benefits, by the way. I don't believe it's close based on the numbers I looked at last night. They are by far the largest private landowner in the state of Utah.
Yeah.
And it blows my, I'm pretty sure they're the fifth largest in the country.
Throw all that out. Can we not just agree that the LDS Church in the state of Utah is powerful and they could be making a difference if they wanted to make a difference?
They have enormous influence.
Like, so cool, Chris. Like, and I love you, dude. I'm not even criticizing you here, but cool. Great. You're right. Sure. Whatever. The point is that the church has the power to make a difference. I've been hearing about revitalizing downtown for 10 years. This isn't new. This isn't some new angle, bro. We've been hearing about, oh, well, we got to revitalize. That's like a catchphrase in this state. Revitalize downtown Salt Lake City. Oh my God, the bees are leaving downtown. How could they? How could they? We got to revitalize downtown. We've heard this before, man. This isn't new. The only thing that's new here is Ryan's going to get paid. That's the only thing that's new here. And then what's going to happen? Honest to God, what's going to happen? We'll probably get some calls and people are going to say we said some stuff. And the reality is we're the only ones saying stuff, man. And people don't like it, but it's the truth. It's what's happening.
Yeah, it's frustrating. I'm going to continue to ask for this dude, this rep Ryan Wilcox from Ogden. He's the guy that's trying to create this fairway arena, area investment for the baseball stadium. It's a huge mistake. Huge mistake. And we've asked Governor Cox to come on. He said no repeatedly. Actually, what they do in the governor's office is very much what they do in Ryan Smith's office. We'll get back to you. Yeah, we'll try to figure it out. We'll get back to you. You never hear from him.
Yeah, I call that positively saying no.
Yeah, they're saying no. There's no doubt about it. Dan McKay from Riverton, down the street from us, sponsored SB 272, which is, I think this whole thing is terrible. That's my opinion. I think it's brutal. I think it's the wrong thing to do, which is very much what I would say. Tanner makes a good point for once. Salt Lake feels like Gotham. The town needs a Batman or a super soaker. Somebody.
Yeah.
Somebody. Brandon Butler, hello. Let's be honest. Pro sports owners have always wanted the people to pay for their new toys. The only difference is that in Utah, they don't give the people a chance to say no. Don't put it to a vote because it's going to be a no. It's going to be a no. No doubt. Giggity said well, damn it, Tanner. Rise up. Exactly. UW fan Jim, pretty sure you said private land. I believe that's correct. But Chris is right. The super soaker is now our Batman. Is Tanner Plummer the hero we need?
But not the one we deserve.
Exactly right. I make a good point for once. You do. You always make good points. I'm just ball busting you. OG Gary, vote them out, but people won't vote in local elections. People will not vote. I'm telling you, man, your council person, your mayor, your legislators, your state senators, you got to vote in your local elections. They're the ones that really, those are the guys stepping on your nuts, dude. I got to try to get people to understand that. You all want to vote for president? Okay, I agree that you should. But what they're doing in Washington is not nearly as impactful as what they're doing in Salt Lake City at the Capitol.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the guys you should be holding accountable.